The Pops, we're back. Dude, I'm tired of you old guys only doing raises once a year. I mean, it's like the annual performance review. It's dead. It's pay me. I'm worth it.
Raises? Hey, how about you get some work done first, huh?
This is CounterMentors with Kelly and Robby Riggs. Finally, a place where you can get both perspectives on challenges in the workplace. From a boomer and a millennial. The CounterMentor is the new leader. Join us as we show you how to blend the very best of both generations, young and old. This is CounterMentors. And here are your hosts, Kelly and Robby Riggs.
Hey, I'm Boston Rob, and that's the Pops. Welcome to CounterMentors. This is the show, as you know, where we tell my millennial brethren to get over it, and get real, and we tell the boomers that they need to come out of the dark ages and get a clue.
Yeah, well, we know those are generalizations, Robby, but they're generalizations for a reason because generally they're true. Every generation needs help in the workplace. We have just appointed ourselves as the help.
Well, I mean, he's the help. I'm the boss. Hey, we're excited you're here. If you want to learn more about us, check us out on our website, CounterMentors.com. Find out about this new brand of leadership and how you can be successful in the chaotic, hectic, four-generation workplace. Like us on Facebook. Find us on Twitter. Give us a follow. The Pops, he's a good follow. Also, find our YouTube channel. Hey, we're excited you're here. We're excited for our new show. And as always, check out the podcast on iTunes. Take us with you everywhere. All my millennial yogis, before your Ashtanga and what those crazy yoga moves.
Oh, please. And
for you boomers, you know, when you're going to get an examination.
Typical millennial. You have no idea what you're talking about, but you can fake it. Hey, welcome to show number 17. It's called You Want to Raise Already? Oh, my God. What is it with you millennials? You guys come to work, you work a couple of days, and then you show up in the boss's office. It's like, hey, I'm ready for a raise. If you don't even know where the restrooms are yet, and you want to raise.
Yeah, I thought you were supposed to be like the analytical, logical one, and you're jumping with these grandiose generalizations about
what I said.
Generalizations for the greatest generation ever. Our millennial brothers. And here's the thing. The reason that we deserve that raise, we deserve that reward is because we should be felt valued because we bring more than you could ever imagine. It's a good thing I actually took my robe off this morning. I mean, I get more done in my robe than you can in a week, but that pay me.
Well, at least that's what you think. Since you haven't been to work today, you don't have a clue if you got more done than anybody else.
Hey, I don't even know where to start today. You got me off flight.
Hey, we kind of got on this deal because there was we found this article about the Patriots, and no secret, you're a big Pats fan there in Boston. New England Patriots shocked the NFL. This was back in November, Robby, but they shocked the NFL when they traded linebacker Jamie Collins to the Browns for a 2018 pick. Browns need all the help they can get, and clearly Mr. Collins wasn't a good fit. The Patriots couldn't figure it out. It came down to two factors, the article said, money and on-field production. My man has not even been on the team. How long has Collins been on the team, and he's in there bucking for a raise already?
No, just a couple of years, and really he's only been a big part of the team for really only about 2 seasons, which is fascinating. But this is what we love about Belichick, right, is that this is the kind of coach he is. But we're going to go down a serious rabbit hole. I'm going to focus here. but no, it's crazy, and we see this in professional sports. We see this in tech startups. We see this in manufacturing companies. We see this in professional services firms, right? We see consultants jumping every year from one firm to the next. This is a serious challenge with the millennial generation. And Pops, you and I agree that this is really a lack of expectations problem. This is a problem, of course, that the boomers, that'd be you, Pops, that you have created. And I'm sorry that we're awesome.
Hold up a second. You're entitled. You're demanding.
Brilliant.
You're marginally talented. Smart. And you want to raise when you don't deserve it. And it's our fault? Run that by me again.
Hold on. But whoa. Let's unpack that statement. Entitled, don't deserve it? Really? Come on.
Hey, why is it that the rules are different? Now, let's be serious. Right. Why is it that the rules are different for millennials? You know, there is a sense in which you do have to earn it. I mean, even you millennials say you got to earn my respect and all that kind of thing. Yep. Oh, I mean, how long before you've earned the right to make more money? I mean, I read one of the most unbelievable articles this past week getting ready for this show. This lady was going off on the fact that boomers are just terrible in so many ways. And we're only making so much money, and you should be paying us more money. And I mean, she's got just a very average job doing average work, and she's complaining because she makes average pay. I'm like, hey, lady, how about you get some skills?
This is going to get political. This is going to get – I mean, this is going to be – hey, we're back on a new platform. We're all excited, and we're going off the deep end. I mean, we just started. No, look, it's such an interesting thing, and obviously I'm going to take this away for a second. Don't freak out, and then I'll bring it back.
Okay.
But we saw kind of this a little microcosm of this with Bernie Sanders when he was running for president, right?
Right.
All these millenniums – sorry. That was an inside joke for you.
Backstory there.
All these millennials were feeling the burn and excited, and there was no connection there, right? I mean, here's this old waspy white guy that in no way, shape, or form can connect with me. But what was he saying? You're all going to get more. We're going to forgive your student loans. So it was feeding into the narcissism. We've talked a lot about this on this show. We know millennials are that me generation, even though the boomers set the bar, we totally exceeded it. That narcissism, and it was all about us. So bringing kind of back into this article that you shared with me, which is fascinating and really anchors back to Collins going, I want more, which, by the way, Tom Brady's taking a pay cut so we can bring in more talent. No, but okay. Yeah. So it's such an interesting dynamic. And I think that the millennial really feels like they deserve more. And here's the deal, Pops. Oftentimes that is the case. And we both agree with that. And we agree that in a lot of ways the system is broken on getting raises. However, again, millennials, get real. You don't show up 3 days in and say, I demand a raise. Jimmy, who started a year ago, makes more money than me. Well, yeah, he's done more. He's produced. Our boy Jim Keenan on our very first show talked about adding value, right? And there's a real disconnect here. And I think that we are generalizing when we say that all millennials demand a raise, right? And we do this intentionally and to make these grandiose statements. But I think this is one of those that, unfortunately, I feel like it's true. And you're seeing hopping happen. Now, before you react to that, I think my first hot take of 2017, I think that this is actually not a money issue. I do. I mean, you and I talked about this. I believe that you should be compensated fairly for what you're worth, and then you should want to stay and be motivated because I'm a great leader. So I think this is a lack of leadership, lack of expectations. I mean, on day one, someone should be sitting down saying, you're not getting a raise in the first week, right? I mean, what do you think?
Well, I mean, there is an enormous disconnect here just in terms of communication. Where boomers really do screw it up big is they think that everything is still like it was 20 years ago. I give you a job. I give you a paycheck. Come in and sit down, and we'll get you a computer and some business cards, and, I'll be the leader, and we'll check in with you at annual performance review, and we'll give you a list of competencies that you're not that good at and tell you that we can't give you a raise. That's not a generational thing. That's just bad freaking leadership all the way around.
Absolutely.
And there's a lack of communication. And oftentimes when we're talking to clients, it is amazing how often we've heard this complaint. Do you know I had some millennial walk into my office last week and they've been with a job 3 months and they want a raise? And I'm like, why would they do that?
Right.
Well, I don't know. Well, I'll tell you why they do that. Because in their mind, it's been 3 months since somebody sat down and told them how awesome they are, and they're used to hearing it on a pretty regular basis.
That's right.
So you're going to have to change the way you do things. I mean, both sides, as we've said over and over and again, have to come together in the middle somewhere. You can't say, look, you're going to be like me in my generation, and I can't say, no, you're going to be like me in my generation. We've got to say, listen, we're different. We got to get our act together here and get on the same page. But the first thing is to map out exactly when we're going to talk raises and performance reviews and bonuses. What I found interesting in the research for this, Robby, is millennials are much more likely to see a bonus as a right rather than something that they've earned. And I think it just plays into that whole idea about millennials. They're just used to people coddling them. I mean, I don't say that in a way to denigrate.
No,
what it is.
I feel like we're a broken record because we get into this and it's the same root cause, right? And we're identifying and unpacking these symptoms, and we get back to this root cause, right? If you're new to the show, let us be really, really clear. Millennials are this way because this is how we were raised, right?
So it's your fault.
It's not my fault.
I know, because you can't change
how we were raised. We've always been the center of attention. It's always been all about us. Our moms and dads came to our job interviews and told our teachers to give us better grades.
Hold up. Name one job interview I ever went on with you.
All right, I was fortunate. Earmuffs, I was fortunate. Mine didn't do that. But the point is, it's always been about us and on our terms. And so now all of a sudden, when it's not, we have an issue with it. And look, here's the other thing that rolls into this. We are in a Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat generation. So when I see my boy, he sends me a snap of him getting a fat bonus, or he's out at the bar buying drinks for everyone because he just got a bonus, or he just got a raise, or he got promoted. Remember, we're in a world of a highly curated, only show our highlights, never show our lowlights generation. So on my face, I'm sitting here. I'm a millennial. I'm multitasking. I'm pretending to talk to you. I'm actually on the Twitter.
That's why you're not making sense. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But I see this all day, every day, right? Yeah. I see that this guy, and to me, it looks like everyone is getting that. Right.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there's that layer. Now let's layer on top of that LinkedIn, right? I'm seeing job offer, opportunity, Glassdoor. I can go in and see salaries. I mean, there's all this access to information. And Pops, you and I talk a lot about technology as a huge galvanizing, awesome driver in terms of moving the economy and the world and AI, and there's so much cool stuff coming up, but it's also created so much complexity. And this is one of those, in my opinion, areas that has become so complex. For you and your generation, Pops, if you wanted a new job, you had to sit down on your typewriter and type out a cover letter and then put it and lick the envelope and seal it and put a stamp on it. And in 4 days, it would get where it needed to go. It was an absolute train wreck.
What do you mean it's a train wreck?
I can fill out 30 job applications in about 5 minutes on LinkedIn and get a response back from a recruiter within the day.
Right.
So it's a combination of all these things. And, there's a lot of stats around millennials job hopping. And we've talked about this before. That's not a millennial thing, right? That's now on all generations.
Well, actually, it's more about the fact that people have learned that the data shows that if you want to get a raise, the best way to get a raise is to get a new job. You're going to get on average 8 to 10% when they're handing out 2.5% at your place, right? So most millennials are like, see ya, I can go get 8 to 10. And if I stay with jobs 2, 3, and 4 years and don't get commensurate raises, it's actually costing me a ton of money. In some ways, you millennials, that's somewhat brilliant on your part, and it's forcing some boomers to make some serious changes. But what makes me crazy, son, as a boomer and as a leader, is people who want what they want. Because, look, I went to school and incurred all this college debt. Right. But I made the choice to go to that college. Right. I made the choice to spend all that money and borrow it. I made the choice to major in this particular area. But now, by golly,
don't hate on the arts. Don't you hate on the arts?
I want to raise because I deserve it because I went to college.
All right. Now since you're already up on your soapbox, let me boost it up a little higher there for you, Pops.
Okay, great.
When do you, in your infinite wisdom, being a boomer and having 35 years experience, and I have children older than you,
I like the sound of this.
In your infinite wisdom, when should someone get a raise? Right? Well, when should someone get a raise?
It's a good question. And I'm going to go back to something you said, because I don't think it's a generational thing. I think it's a leadership thing, as we often agree. The fact of the matter is, the way traditional corporate America hands out raises, for the most part, is flawed because it's a once a year comparative to everybody else. Yep. I believe in earning it, and I believe in performance raises, and I believe that, if your compatriot is better than you are and he's doing more work and he's got better output, he's selling more, producing more, I'm going to pay him more. And if you don't like it, you can take your little snowflake notebook and you can go somewhere else. But a lot of people are like, that's not fair.
Whoa. I know all of our HR people that we have on this show. Shout out to all my friends at Sherm. They're freaking out right now because they're going, whoa, Kelly, you can't do that.
Yeah, we can't hurt their feelings.
No. You're telling me, you just told me 2 episodes ago how expensive it is and how I got to retain that millennial talent. I got to attract it. Now you're telling me I need to tell them to leave? Like, whoa. You know how expensive turnover is?
Yeah, no. And, as a matter of fact, you've solved part of the problem right there, because when we begin to think about how expensive the turnover, we talk to executives over and over, and they say, hey, if I'm going to go get some new talent, I'm going to pay more. I'm going to have to pay more because of the demand in engineering or accounting or whatever. Right. But that's going to blow up my entire wage structure, and I'm going to have to raise everybody.
Yeah, your bands.
Yeah, it will. Yeah. By the way, if you don't, it's going to cost you a freaking fortune in turnover. Now,
that's right.
Pay me now or pay me later is what I'm saying. So why not pay and keep your talent and enhance your culture? But the one thing we haven't talked about is it's not just a money issue. A lot of millennials are out the door because they want more opportunity, career advancement, more education. And by the way, they really would like to work for a reasonably decent leader.
Yeah, shameless plug. Join us next week when we talk about the 3 habits that those old guys do that drive us crazy. Join us for that next time. But I want to go back to something you said. So, but herein lies the problem. You said just pay them, right? I mean, they earned it, pay them. But and man, I'm going to sound like all terrible right here, but you boomers, you don't think like that. What do you think? Well, you pay your dues, and every year you get your cost of living raise, and if you did really good and the stock price went up, then you get 4%. I mean, that is your paradigm. I mean, I had a conversation with an executive not that long ago, and this individual said, well, I can't give him, in this case, I can't give him a 10% raise. I gave him a 6% raise last year. He'll start to expect that. Yeah, he's a rock star. He's your best guy. and in this case, it was a measly, I think it was 10 grand a year we were talking about. I mean, it's just, I don't get it. And it's what you grew up in. It's what you're comfortable with. And the idea of giving somebody big raise after big raise, it makes you and your brethren very uncomfortable.
Well, there is some truth to that. I think it's much less so in the Gen X range. It's really the older boomers, son, that I think have more of that corporate thing. Most people have come to the realization that the world is incredibly different, just completely different. Yeah. But there are a few that are still hanging onto the paddle, trying to keep from slipping under the boat. But the reality is, they really don't know how to fix it. And there is nothing worse than sitting down and having a millennial walk in the door and plop down in your chair across the desk after 3 months and say, hey, I'm ready for that raise. And I'm thinking, you can't even run the software yet. So go back to your question. When should they be asking for a raise? Well, if we've set those milestones in place as leaders and done it effectively, son, then what it says is when you pass these milestones, here's what we're going to do. We're going to give you some incremental raises along the way. And if you come in and blow it out of the water and you drive value and increase your value to the company, we're going to do even more for you because we love talent. We'd love to keep you. But boomers, leaders of most types, are just not having that conversation.
No, it's bad. And man, it drives us crazy. I mean, as a high potential, high performing young talent, right? So, the younger, our incoming digital natives, millennials, and most 40% of Gen Xers that identify millennial. I mean, you're talking about a huge, huge driver of disengagement. We've talked on this show before how much disengagement costs us. I mean, we're talking about a significant money. It would be a Fortune 200 company if it was a company, the cost of disengagement. So there's a real challenge there. And if we don't give that millennial, and again, we're going to talk a lot more about this in the future, but if you don't give them that face time, make them feel valued, give them those incremental challenges, it really is a struggle. And I will then rely on or revert to, give me a raise, give me a promo. I mean, I know what I'm worth. I see the people that are around me. I'm better than them, so give me a raise. Now, am I really better than them?
Yeah, I started to say, there's a problem, right?
Yeah.
It's like we all think, 80% of 90% of doctors all think they're smarter than the other doctors, which clearly statistically that's going to be a problem if everybody thinks they're smarter than everybody else. Hey, let me go back to this article, by the way, about Collins, because it was so good. Clearly, the two sides differed on Collins' value because Collins had gone into the Patriots and he'd said, hey, I want Von Miller money, who had just signed a 6-year, $114 million contract.
Biggest deal ever.
Yeah, biggest deal. So I want that kind of money. Here's the problem. He appeared to be bothering Patriot coaches by doing what several in the NFL world have called freelancing on defense. So Mr. Millennial not only wants to get paid top drawer, he wants to do whatever he wants to do too, right? So, hey, I'm kind of a big guy on campus, so you should pay me big man on campus money. And oh, by the way, I don't want to follow the rules. Here's what I know. That doesn't fly very well with the Patriots.
No, well, not with any high-performing organization, right? I mean, we love to use the Patriots as an example. And when we teach leadership, we use Bill Belichick and Tom Brady, the second greatest American ever. We talk about that a lot. So, by the way, the number one greatest American is George Washington, of course. But the point is, they understand in that system that if you get in and you do your job, to use the Belichick-ism, if you do your job at the highest level possible, if the sum is greater than any one part. And Collins, while a stud, and also we saw it with Chandler Jones later in the offseason, this last offseason, two key defensive players, they said, we think that we have other people, other teammates in the organization that we can put in that hole that are going to be team players. Right. And oh, by the way, it's also the right financial fiscal move for the organization. So again, my HR folks are freaking out. They're going, whoa. So you mean if I think I have somebody on my bench, Pops, that can be better than this person, I should just let them go and not pay them and bring this other person in?
Yeah, that's what they do in the sports world. And by the way, in case you're a Pats hater, and there are a lot of you out there, let's just set aside your NFL priorities and let's just talk about the organization. Belichick joined as the head coach in 2000, son. Had his only losing season his first season out. He went 5-11. Since then, he's won 14 AFC East titles. He's been second twice. He's been to 6 Super Bowls. He's won 4 of those. 10 different times he's won 12 games in a season, including this season, by the way. They're 14-2. So you can hate on the Pats if you want, but please, you're killing me. From an organizational perspective, they're pretty daggone good. But let's jump back into Mr. Collins' world for a minute, because here's something that he said on a radio station. He goes, quote, "I didn't grow up watching football, still don't. Me and Chandler Jones, the guy you referenced earlier, have talked about this since I first got up here. I nenever watched football. I never thought I'd be here. I'd rather play video games. I don't really want to watch football." So let me get this straight, Mr. Millennial, Big Shot. You don't want to get better. You don't want to study your craft. You just want to get paid. You want to do it your way. Now there is the caricature of a true cupcake.
Dude, I was going to say, you want to talk about the classic caricature of a millennial. I mean, that's it. And right. I want Mark Zuckerberg money today for doing nothing. I mean, people hate on Zuckerberg, but what he created is something incredible, and he continues to innovate. But it's like, we all saw that movie, or we all joined Facebook, like, oh, that's easy. I mean, he just made this thing, and I want that money. And it's a serious problem. And again, this is where setting expectations is so critical. Absolutely. And Pops, when we work with our clients, getting practical here, kind of transitioning this conversation from beating up Jamie Collins. Dude, he went to the Browns. That's punishment enough. We're going to spend our time beating up Jamie Collins.
We'll show you.
That's right. Let's talk about practically what this means. I mean, when we work with leaders on this problem, we work with organizations, the number one thing we talk about is the power of setting great expectations. And that doesn't start at your 90-day check-in, right? That starts in the acquisition process. Exactly. When I'm trying to identify a candidate, identify talent, when I get them in, I'm immediately setting expectations in that moment. When I onboard them, I'm hammering home and solidifying those expectations. And by the way, we have an aligned voice from my HR, recruiter that's onboarding them, to my manager that's doing the onboarding, to the leader of that group. That is an aligned vision and an aligned message. So the number one thing you can do, whether you are a supervisor within a team or you are a Fortune 500 leader that's responsible for 300 people, you need to understand that setting expectations and driving that down and ensuring they're aligned in your organization is critical, not just to placating our snowflakes. I'll steal the Pops line. But for the 25-year man that's like, hey, it's my time. I should be a VP now. What's going on? It's the exact same thing. So, Pops, I mean, we talked about this a lot, and the power of expectations is immense.
Yeah, and the other thing is something we can take directly from the Patriots, and people should, and that is that they have already very clearly established their values, the kind of people they are, the way we do things here, and that doesn't start 90 days in either. Everybody understands the kind of organization that we're going to be. Some interesting data, son. 40% of millennials expect a promotion every 1 to 2 years. If you're a boomer manager and you don't really internalize that, then you're going to get caught with your, heads buried somewhere. And
that was a good metaphor.
Some of your great talent is going to walk out the door. But here's the other thing that really makes me crazy is most companies, are very reactive in hiring. They don't hire until somebody leaves. So they don't have a steady stream of talent in their pipeline. And number two, they don't really create the opportunity for that talent to flourish inside the organization. So they don't see them as valuable pieces of equipment. They just see them as pawns on the chessboard. And so I got to tell you, man, boomers, they really do deserve a lot of what they get in this whole thing. Clearly, I think millennials are out to lunch, but I think boomers.
Finally.
Hey, I had to throw in a caveat too, right?
Of course. No, I knew that was coming. Yeah.
But you boomers, or millennials rather, I think it's interesting because all of these things, we go back to the fact that 60% of people choose a new company for a stronger career path or better opportunity. They're not always leaving for money. So here's what they do. They're not happy. They're disengaged. You're not communicating. You're not giving me my, snowflake feedback that I need. So they walk in and go, okay, fine. Here's the deal. When am I getting a raise? Because if I'm going to freaking work here, at least I could get paid, right?
If I'm going to put up with your crap and this terrible culture and the fact that you make my butt be in the chair at 7:55 and stay there till 5 because you haven't figured out.
Okay, we're doing that in a future show, by the way.
World.
Hey, future show, we're going to talk about this nonsense.
This Lee Branham, I know you know these numbers, and our audience, we've said them before, but this is important. Lee Branham said, 89% of supervisors that done in a global study said that their people left for more money. That same group of people that actually left when they were surveyed, 88% of them said they left for reasons other than money.
Right.
Okay. So we started out this conversation talking about expectations of a raise. Those millennials, those snowflakes, they need to feel special and get feedback. Well, you should be giving your people feedback. First of all, easy. Number two, it's conflict because of frustrated expectations. And it's simply about, if you want the millennial talent to be engaged, to add the value that they bring to the workplace, you, Mr. Boomer Leader, I'm talking to you, you must create a culture where they want to be there. And that starts with setting expectations, communicating, giving them challenges, providing feedback, all of those things. And your whole money issue, as long as you are paying on par and you're compensating them for the value they're given, those issues will go away.
Yeah, true statement.
See it happen.
Yeah, the other side of this perspective, son, I think boomers need to internalize is that the millennials are different in a lot of ways. The younger generations, X, Y, Z, some X's are more like millennials. They also have a completely different background. I mean, they've grown up, many of them, with a lot of college debt that we boomers did not. When we went to college, you could afford it. Now you can't afford college, so you have to get, especially if you want to go to an upscale college, it's going to cost you a fortune. Which, by the way, if you're just willing to have a little humility, you can actually go get a 4-year college degree at an average college, in middle America, and
in your home state,
and it doesn't cost $100,000. Okay, so I get a little tired of that too, but it is different. I mean, people do come into the workplace that they're not making the kind of money that's consistent with the kind of debt that they have. There's a lot of stress there, and cream puffs are really already in trouble.
Man, I wish we had another 30 minutes on because you don't want to know why that we think that we have to go to a great college and we take on all this debt because
you're egotistic.
Have been saying go to college, and they've been saying, hey, we see our boomer parents have credit card debt. The boomer generation is also known as the credit card debt generation. You're the ones that invented it. So look, all these things you're saying. Not my problem.
Well, actually, they are your problem. You just have someone to blame.
I need to go into politics. It's official.
Yeah, here's the final word, and that is this. Listen, if you're waiting on the boss or the company to do for you, then you've already given away the power that you have as an individual. Correct. Hey, millennial, when you go interview for a job, set those and talk about it. Hey, look, what can I expect in terms of review and feedback and raises? I want to be on the same page with you so that I don't surprise you 6 month ends. Because you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to kill this job, and at 6 months I want to raise. Is that reasonable, or am I off base somewhere? Right?
No, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. And to my boomer leaders, to my Gen Xers that we always leave out that are now in middle management and in the director level roles, same thing. Set expectations from the get-go. Have that constant dialogue. Meet with your people on a regular basis. Give them challenges. They feel like they're really adding value, not just plugging along, working to keep the lights on, but actually doing something that's valuable and meaty. And you will, I promise, you will get rid of this problem. You will get rid of this challenge.
Absolutely right. Hey, that's going to wrap it up for this show. It's number 17. You want to raise already? Wow. Hey, follow us at CounterMentors on Twitter, countermentors.com. You can find us. You can see our blog post there as well. Really excited about next time, Robby, 2 weeks from today. Number 18, the 3 habits that millennials absolutely hate about boomer leaders. We're going to deconstruct those. I feel another butt whipping coming on, unfortunately.
All right. I'm going to get my Louisville Slugger out. It's not even baseball season.
Hey, the music says we're out of time. We're going to see you next time on the CounterMentors.
Y'all be good.
Come on! Thanks for tuning into CounterMentors with Kelly and Robby Riggs. The show airs every Monday at 4 p.m. Central. Watch the show live on Blab or subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. For more information about the show, to listen to past shows, or to learn more about how Kelly and Robby teach companies the counter-mentoring process, visit CounterMentors.com. The CounterMentors show is presented by One-on-One Media, Incorporated. All rights reserved. Opinions expressed by guests on the show may not be the opinions of One-on-One Media or the host of the CounterMentors show.